So Demi Lovato has been dating fellow musician Jordan Lutes since August of 2022, and this weekend it was confirmed that they are set to tie the knot. It was said to be a personal and intimate proposal, and the couple would be headed to a restaurant in LA where they celebrated the happy news with their families. Demi showed off the engagement ring in a photo of the two of them smiling at each other, and in the caption she wrote, "I'm still speechless. Last night was the best night of my life and I can't believe I get to marry the love of my life. My love, I'm beyond excited to marry you. Every day I've spent with you has been a dream come true, and I can't wait to love and cherish you forever. Here's to the rest of our lives." News of the engagement comes just days after Demi revealed that when Jutes was going on tour with her last year, he felt inspired to get a tattoo in honor of her track Forever For Me. This was just because she wrote it about him, so he asked her to do the tattoo herself. Demi then explained the story on the Jennifer Hudson show and said that while she didn't want to give him the full tattoo herself, she did assist with a significant part of it, and she believes that it turned out okay in the end. The two of them met when she was working on her 2022 album Holy F, and she explained that they are super in love and it's so special that she found someone she can also make music with. When she was asked about being with him, she said, "He actually helped me co-write one of my singles, Substance, and a few songs on my last album. We worked really well together and we are also just super in love, so I'm very happy with him. It's amazing to be able to find someone that you can just laugh and laugh with, that you get to make music with as well. It's so special, so I'm very happy." The pair went public in New York City as they were spotted walking hand in hand. In the year following their romance, they haven't really been shy when it comes to showing off their relationship. So in March, Demi celebrated Jutes' birthday and she made the sweetest Instagram post ever. She wrote, "I've waited my whole life to find you and I can't wait to celebrate so many more birthdays together. You are a literal dream come true and I'm so grateful to call you mine. Have the best birthday, my love. You deserve it, the world, and more." Jutes then returned the favor in August as he celebrated Demi's birthday. In his own post, he wrote, "Happy birthday to my best friend. You're obviously the most beautiful and talented person to ever do it, but more importantly, you're weird AF and you make me cry laughing. Your heart has changed lives all over the planet, especially some dude from a farm in Canada who wound up in your session over a year ago. I didn't know the perfect person existed until I met you." So Jordan is a Canadian musician who used to study film while he was living in Toronto, though he would later develop a passion for songwriting. He was originally signed to Capitol Records, but then he made the big decision to leave the company in order to follow his own path as an independent artist. He explained that he left because the record label were not able to support him in the way that he needed as a result of budget cuts. He was also wanting to be completely back in charge of his career in the way that most indie artists are. As for his relationship with Demi, it's clearly going well. Not only are they super close in age at 31 and 32, but they're also very clearly in love. Earlier this year, a source spoke out about their romance and said, "Demi and Jutes are doing great. They're very in love and just enjoying their time together. Her friends and family think Demi and Jutes make a good match and a good couple. Jutes wants what's best for her and everyone sees that." So far, Demi's longest relationship ever has been with Wilmer, who she dated on and off between 2010 and 2016. She was super young when she first met the older actor, but they allegedly didn't start dating until she turned 18 that August. Wilmer did try to help Demi battle her addictions and supported her while she was filming her 2012 documentary Demi Lovato Stay Strong. But in a joint statement they later said, "After almost 6 loving and wonderful years together, we have decided to end our relationship. This was an incredibly difficult decision for both of us, but we have realized more than anything that we are better as friends. We will always be supportive of one another. Thank you to everyone who has offered us kindness and support over the years." The breakup did seem to be for the best though, considering how controversial their relationship was. But it was also bad timing because Demi still had major issues with substance use at this time, and her journey to sobriety had been well documented over the years. Her battle with addiction was actually a lot darker and scarier than most people realize. The incident in 2018 almost ended her life and it left her with long-term health complications. In her documentary Dancing with the Devil, Demi revealed that she was left with irreparable brain damage and she will have to deal with the effects of that for the rest of her life. Not only that, but it also caused 3 strokes, a heart attack, and organ failure. She had pneumonia from asphyxiating on her own vomit, and when she woke up in the hospital's intensive care unit, she says she was legally blind. It took about 2 months to recover enough eyesight for her to read a book, and that never fully went away. These days, she said that she can't actually drive a car because of all the blind spots that she still has on her vision. In the hospital, Demi was administered with an emergency antidote, but the doctors believed that she only had 5 to 10 more minutes to live. In the documentary, she said, "I've dealt with a lot of the repercussions, and I feel like they are still there to remind me of what could happen if I ever get back into that dark place again. I'm grateful for those those reminders, but I'm so grateful that I was someone that didn't have to do a lot of rehabbing. The rehabbing she's talking about came on the emotional side. In the end, she recognizes that her issues with substance use will be a lifelong battle, and that's something that she works at every day. Of course, she still experiences dark moments from time to time, but she has come a long way spiritually and emotionally. Since that fateful incident, she's learned to love herself a lot more and do things that contribute to her health and happiness. Unfortunately, her 22-year-old sister Madison De La Garza has also been going through some similar struggles. In a candid interview, she opened up about dealing with substance misuse just like her older sister. She spoke to E! News about what pulled her into the world in the first place and then how she finally got out of it. Madison said, "I went through a lot of things last year that made me want to stay in bed, that made me want to hide from the world. My best friend was substances and it disconnected me from those around me. She only realized that she had a problem when it started impacting her relationship with her friends and her mom. And that's when she knew that she had to make a change. Fortunately, it was not something that she had to deal with alone." Her older sister had been very open about her own struggles with addiction, and that is something that finally inspired Madison to get help. She said, "I would have never ever done that if it wasn't for her. I think her honesty, her bravery, and being 100% honest and open and being an open book, I think that is what drives me." And Demi apparently gives her sister a lot of advice in this area, but even better than that is the fact that she also leads by example. Now that she's sober, Madison said she feels free and the world seems just lighter and more colorful. The young actress is now dedicating her time to helping others who are going through similar struggles and supporting the sobriety of her friends and her family. But if that wasn't enough chaos, Demi has also had her fair share of headlines for other parts of her life, particularly switching back to identifying as she/her in addition to they/them pronouns because she said she got tired of explaining the meaning behind it. She spoke to GQ Hype Spain and said, "I feel like I constantly had to educate people and explain why I identified with those pronouns. It was absolutely exhausting. I just got tired. But for that very reason, I know that it's important to continue spreading the word." Demi also says that she wishes for more gender-neutral spaces for everyone because she found herself torn over basic amenities like sex-assigned bathrooms and government paperwork. She said, "I face this every day. For example, in public toilets, having to access the women's bathroom even though I don't completely identify with it. Or it also happens when filling out forms like government documents or anything where you have to specify your gender. You only have two options, male and female, and I feel like none of that makes sense to me." Demi said that she is conditioned to select women because she says there are no other options, and that is something that she wants to change, and with time, she hopes there will be those options. Though her statement was met with support from some of her fans, it's safe to say that it also drew in a lot of criticism, especially from those in the queer community who called her comments invalidating. There were also some very harsh words for her online, and to add to that came all the homophobic comments claiming that she only used they/them pronouns for attention. And just from a quick glance on social media, you could see that there was a very strong negative reaction to this news. If you didn't know, Demi came out as non-binary in May of 2021, and at the time she released a statement saying that she will officially be changing her pronouns to they/them. More than a year later though, and she decided to add she/her back in because she had been feeling more feminine. She went on the Spout podcast in August of 2022 and explained her decision. She acknowledged that no one is perfect and said that everyone messes up pronouns at some point, and especially when people are learning. The thing is, it's just all about respect. And although she has been very open with people in terms of what she's going through, it hasn't always made her the most popular person in the room. You might remember back in 2021, she was scrutinized heavily for calling out an LA froyo shop called The Big Chill. Demi slammed the shop for their apparent pro-diet culture marketing. She posted on her Instagram story saying, "Finding it extremely hard to order froyo from The Big Chill when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies/other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please." She then referenced the company's phrase, "Eat me guilt-free," and wrote, "This screams diet culture and I won't be gaslit by the media or anyone else that says otherwise." The debacle just got worse and worse when the internet ended up taking the side of the froyo shop, and Demi was hit with so much backlash that she eventually posted on Instagram Live and tried to defend her decision to her followers, but to no avail. A few months later, she went viral again for her comments about extraterrestrial life. When she was talking about her docuseries on Peacock called Unidentified with Demi Lovato, she said, "I think that we have to stop calling them aliens because aliens is a derogatory term for anything. That's why I like to call them ETs." She also claimed to have been abducted at one point in time. Although some of her fans found the whole thing funny, others were a little more concerned about her well-being here, because at the end of the day, that is what really matters. Now, did you know that Demi Lovato is getting ridiculed online because she said that she was tired of using they/them pronouns? Demi switched back to identifying as she/her in addition to they/them because she got tired of explaining the meaning behind her pronouns. She spoke to GQ Hype Spain and said, "I constantly had to educate people and explain why I identified with those pronouns. It was absolutely exhausting. I just got tired, but for that very reason, I know that it's important to continue spreading the word." Demi also said that she wishes for more gender-neutral spaces for everyone because she found herself torn over basic amenities like sex-assigned bathrooms and government paperwork. She said, "I face this every day. For example, in public toilets, having to access the women's bathroom even though I don't completely identify with it. Or it also happens when filling out forms, like government documents or any other where you have to specify your gender. You only have two options, male or female, and I feel like none of that makes sense to me." The singer said that she is conditioned to select the option woman because there are just no other options. This is something she wants to change, and with time she hopes that there will be more options. Though her statement was met with support from some of her fans, it's safe to say that it also drew a lot of criticism, especially from those in the queer community, who called her comments invalidating. There were also some very harsh words for her online, and to add to that came homophobic comments claiming that she only used they/them pronouns for attention. Just from a quick glance on social media, you can see that there has been a strong negative reaction to the news. Demi came out as non-binary in May of 2021. At the time, she released a statement saying that she'll officially be changing her pronouns to they/them. More than a year later though, she decided to add she/her back in because she said she'd been feeling more feminine. She went on the Spout podcast in August of 2022 and explained her decision. She acknowledged that no one's perfect and said everyone messes up pronouns at some point, especially when people are learning. It's all about respect. Although she's been very open with people in terms of what she's going through, it hasn't always made her the most popular person in the room. In 2021, she was scrutinized heavily for calling out an LA froyo shop called The Big Chill. Demi slammed the shop for their apparent pro-diet culture marketing. She posted on her Instagram story, finding it extremely hard to order froyo from The Big Chill when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies / other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please. She referenced the company's phrase, "Eat me guilt-free," and wrote, "This screams diet culture, and I won't be gaslit by the media or anyone else that says otherwise." This debacle only got worse when the internet took the side of the froyo shop, and Demi was hit with so much backlash that she eventually posted an Instagram live trying to defend her decision to her followers, but to no avail. And then a few months later, she went viral again for her comments about extraterrestrial life. When talking about her docuseries on Peacock called Unidentified with Demi Lovato, she said, "I think we have to stop calling them aliens, because aliens is a derogatory term for anything. That's why I like to call them ETs." She also claimed to have been abducted at one point in time. Although some of her fans found the whole thing funny, others were a little more concerned about her mental health. And that's the other thing. A lot of the hate against Demi seems to be a dig at her history with substance use. The singer's journey to sobriety has been very well documented over the years. Her battle with addiction was actually a lot darker and scarier than most people realize. The incident in 2018 almost ended her life and left her with long-term health complications. In her documentary Dancing with the Devil, she revealed that she was left with irreparable brain damage, and she will forever have to deal with the effects of that for the rest of her life. It caused 3 strokes, a heart attack, and organ failure. She had pneumonia from asphyxiating on her own vomit. When she woke up in the hospital's intensive care unit, she said she was legally blind. It took about 2 months to recover enough eyesight for her just to read a book, and that never fully went away. These days, she said she can't even drive a car because of the blind spot she has on her vision. In the hospital, she was administered with an emergency antidote, but the doctors believed that she only had 5 to 10 more minutes to live. In the documentary, Demi said, "I dealt with a lot of the repercussions, and I feel like they are still there to remind me of what could happen if I ever get into a dark place again. I'm grateful for those reminders, but I'm so grateful I was someone that didn't have to do a lot of rehabbing. The rehabbing came on the emotional side." She recognizes that her issues with substance use will be a lifelong battle, and that's something that she works at every single day. Of course, Demi still has her dark moments from time to time, but she also has come a long way spiritually and emotionally. Since that fateful incident, she said she's learned to love herself and do things that contribute to her health and happiness.
Over the last year, Demi Lovato has been using the pronouns they and them, and 2 months ago they added she and her alongside them in her Instagram bio. Up until now, she hadn't said anything about the change and why they chose to make that decision. While technically it is nobody's business and Demi did not need to provide an explanation to anyone, they did finally decide to speak up about the decision and what led to it in an interview on a podcast called Spout. So let's talk about that. The host asked Demi to explain the concept of pronouns like they and them, and Demi responded by saying the following. "Yeah, so they/them is, I've actually adopted adopted the pronouns of she, her again. For me, I'm such a fluid person that I felt like, especially last year, my energy was balanced in my masculine and feminine energy, so that when I was faced with the choice of walking into a bathroom and it said women and men, I didn't feel like there was a bathroom for me because I didn't feel necessarily like a woman. I didn't feel like a man. I just felt like a human. Many people struggle with the divide between gender identities and the stereotypes that come with them. She also explains how she doesn't hold any anger or disappointment towards those who may have a hard time with understanding pronouns and how to use them, saying, "That's what they, them is about for me. It's just about feeling human at your core. Recently, I've been feeling more feminine, and so I've adopted she, her again. But I think what's important is like, nobody's perfect. Everyone messes up pronouns at some point, and especially when people are learning. It's just all about respect." She first originally announced her gender identity in May of last year, coming out as non-binary on their own podcast where they spoke with another gender non-conforming performer. On the cast, she said, "Over the past year and a half, I've been doing some healing and self-reflective work, and through this work, I've had the revelation that I identify as non-binary. With that said, I'll be officially changing my pronouns to they, them. I feel that this best represents the fluidity I feel in my gender expression and allows me to feel most authentic and true to the person I both know I am and am still discovering." As many of us know, Demi Lovato was taking so much time healing and self-reflecting because of her substance issues, also recently announcing that she's pretty proud of her progress and is moving on from her past mistakes. On a radio show, the singer talked about her new upcoming album, as well as her coming to terms with and struggling with her sobriety journey. She talks about how others had an influence on her, saying, "I had people around me that wanted me to be sober, and I don't think that I wanted it. I just realized that none of it works for me. What's come into my life is acceptance. I'm in such acceptance of my life the way that it is that I really rarely think about substances, which is a beautiful thing and something that I never thought would happen to me." They spoke about how they tried being California sober, which basically means being sober from all substances but still partaking in grass. But on an Instagram story they wrote, "I no longer support my California sober ways. Sober is the only way to be." Demi Lovato seems to be doing much better and really coming into their own, talking on the same show about how she will be turning 30 soon and the impact this has had on her, saying they're not trying to be somebody else anymore, instead just accepting who she is. Demi Lovato has always been pretty well known for their pop anthems like Skyscraper, Cool for the Summer, and Sorry Not Sorry. But in January of this year, the performer held a funeral for their pop music career. She posted a photo to Instagram of her with her management and record label sitting in a recording studio and flipping off the camera, captioning the photo, "A funeral for my pop music," and even archiving all their other Instagram posts. While it may seem like a hard turn for the star, she was actually originally introduced as a rock musician, starring in movies like, of course, Camp Rock. So she gave the fans what they wanted when she announced that her next album was going to be rock songs, even posting snippets of the upcoming music to her Instagram story. Leading up to the album, they said to Rolling Stone, "I would say it's a new era. I'm ever evolving, ever changing. I'd like to put the rest of my music behind me and start fresh in this new era for this new album." There's a bit of a, and when I say heaviness, I don't mean lyrically, but heaviness as in some of the sound that I haven't done before, which is exciting. It's a new era reminiscent of my first era. However, it seems like this new era won't be just a phase, as she recently announced she is planning to leave behind the pop and R&B scene for good. After the release of her rock album, Holy with a V, of course, she said straight up in an interview that her pop and R&B days are gonzo and saying that they're dead. She opened up about the fact that they felt like they were just doing that style of music because she thought that's what other people were expecting from her. And when you do make songs in that genre that get super popular, it makes sense that you would believe that's what you need to stick to in order to maintain that success. But she admitted that she really doesn't connect with any of her previous albums at all. Pop Pop was never what she wanted to do and only what they felt forced into doing. Talking about her 2021 album Dancing with the Devil, she said, "I'm proud of the last album that I did, but it just didn't feel like me. I wanted to put out that music that I would have fun touring with, and I can't say that about my last record." Then talking about her new rock album, she sang a pretty different tune, saying, "I wanted to perform stuff that felt genuine and authentic to where I'm at today and what I'm listening to. I'm at a new chapter of my life and I want my music to reflect that." And a new chapter is pretty right. In the interview, she admitted that while writing Dancing with the Devil, she had been frequently partaking in the devil's lettuce. Demi has been very open about her addiction struggles with her fans and had admitted to being California sober, which means not doing any other except for grass. Since then, she has gone back on that, saying that she was not proud of herself for doing so. They said, "I no longer support my California sober ways. Sober is the only way to be." So it's likely that this change of pace in music is also related to her getting over her substance struggles and starting a completely new phase of her life. So let's hope that Demi continues on her sober streak and is able to create the music they feel the best about.
Back on August 24th, 2 days before the day this video was dropped, Demi Lovato appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast, where she spoke with host Alex Cooper about a potential new project she's got in the works. I'm Adam with InformOverload. Let's talk about it. The conversation between the singer and Alex Cooper was actually a pretty deep one. Cooper was asking all kinds of deep and great questions, really not holding back. Eventually, it came time to talk about the singer's Disney career, where she really got going in the industry. Alex asked if the singer had since spoken with other former Disney Channel stars like Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, and the Jonas Brothers about all the trials and, quote, the challenges of being inside the Disney machine, end quote. Which, as we know from the recent Jeanette McCurdy and Nickelodeon news, there is always some kind of struggle as a child star under a large network. Lovato came back saying, quote, "I think over the years, we talk about it for sure." But then she almost immediately sprung a surprise, quote, "project in the works," unquote, concerning the topic, which obviously begs tons of questions. She added that, quote, "I want to talk to some of those people about their experiences and other child stars as well," end quote. Unfortunately, she didn't go into any more details about the project, but if it is some kind of satire or dramatic interpretation of the stresses and negative aspects of being a child star, well, I'm all for it. Something she may touch on in said project would be what priorities she wished she had at that time in her life. The now 30-year-old did a little sit-down talky talk with Pop Crush and talked about the advice she would give to those younger stars. She said, quote, "It's more important to have a personal life than it is a career at that age. I think that's what got lost in the era of Disney when I was in it. We were all working so hard, running ourselves into the ground," end quote. It would be interesting to see where she goes with this project with that kind of thing as part of her mindset. Like I said though, we actually know nothing about said project. It could be music, it could be a show, it could be a movie, it could be a documentary, it could honestly be anything. With Demi Lovato promoting her newest album titled Holy FVCK, she gave fans a song titled 29. The song itself is a very clear and definite condemnation of men who date women much younger than themselves. Shout out to Dane Cook. But more specifically, Demi Lovato seems to be referencing her ex-boyfriend, Wilmer Valderrama. She never names names in the song, that is clear, but lyrics seem to make a direct reference to the age gap of the two celebrities. The singer and the That 70s Show star met when Lovato was at the tender age of 17 years old, and publicly began dating 1 year later when she turned 18. Meanwhile, Valderrama is 12 years Lovato's senior, making him 29 when the two first met, the same age as the title of the song. In the first verse of 29, Demi starts with the lyrics, "Pedal on the vine, too young to drink wine, just 5 years a bleeder, student and a teacher, far from innocent, what the F's consent, numbers told you not to, but that didn't stop you." That's a pretty good indication of what we're talking about here, for sure. But she continues on into the second verse, seemingly referencing the fact that Valderrama continued to date younger women after Lovato, seeming to reference his current fiance, who is also more than 10 years younger than him. The lyrics go, "I see you're quite the collector. Yeah, you're 12 years her elder. Maybe now a doesn't matter, but I know effing better. On the last and final course, the now 29-year-old, as old as he was when they began dating, makes it pretty clear how she feels about that kind of age difference now that she is finally at that same perspective. It goes, finally 29, 17 would never cross my mind. Thought it was a teenage dream, a fantasy, but it was yours, it wasn't mine. Damn. Okay, so yes, it seems pretty clear that she is shaming and condemning men who date at such an age difference. It is worth it to point out that the strong and condemning lyrics she has written do seem to contradict previous statements made by the actress and singer about her ex. In 2014, she painted Valderrama in a positive light for aiding in her recovery from bulimia, and in 2015, she wrote that he loved her, quote, the way I never thought I deserved on an Instagram post. And again, in her 2018 documentary, Simply Complicated, she stated that her heart will, quote, always be with Wilmer, despite the 2016 breakup. So, all that being said, Demi Lovato has seemed to gain some new perspective, finally seeing their age gap from the opposite end of the spectrum and realizing how off it felt. I'm assuming it also has something to do with the new fiance, making Lovato realize that he's just got a type, the type who were still going on recess while he was in college. Nice.